Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Okay guys, we're going to be seeing a video today and this is titled Finland's Special Operation Raid. All right guys, if you're so excited to see this, please subscribe and let's get right into this. Okay,
Over the past month, there has been a notable surge in Russian sabotage activities, targeting both telecommunications and power cables connecting Finland and the Baltic states, as well as Sweden and the Baltics. The situation escalated dramatically on December 25th, when a Russian operation severely damaged a power cable between Finland and Estonia.
I think it is not a coincidence that the attack on the cable happened during Christmas. I mean, during that time, people are home and are busy, and for that reason, the discovery has reduced. So I think maybe that's why it was possible for that. Okay.
In response, Finland swiftly deployed one of their highly trained special operations squads to intercept and seize the responsible vessel, Eagle S. As with many facets of dealing with Russian aggression, Finland is showing the way. Today, we'll look at how NATO will likely respond to the now brazen acts of sabotage committed by Vladimir Putin's failing Russia. And as with all things Baltic Sea, Finland, Sweden, the Baltics and Poland will be key. Since the start of Russia's war in Ukraine, there has been a massive uptick in sabotage of key communications and power transmission cables throughout the Nordic and Baltic region. First, Norway experienced damage to their internet cable from the mainland to Svalbard, and then Finland, Sweden, Estonia, and Lithuania experienced similar hybrid warfare actions against assets in their own backyards. As with many things within NATO, it takes some time before things get into action. But as of last week, there has been serious consideration about what to do about this issue. And in this video, I'll try to discuss what I think the Nordic and Baltic nations will do in response, and how it'll likely make life even harder for Putin's Russia. First, let's look at the two nations who have been most affected by this issue, Finland and Estonia. The cable that was breached on Christmas Day was an important power cable which supplied Estonia, Lithuania and Latvia with important stable Finnish nuclear power. This was the drop for the Finnish authorities, who deployed one of their Marine Special Ops teams to the Russian tanker who quite clearly sabotaged both this cable and other cables before. Finland has set the bar for what Russia can expect the next time they try to sabotage Finnish infrastructure, and the tanker, along with its spying equipment and crew, is currently being held in Finland, awaiting trial.
Wow, this is really so good. All right, guys, I love Finland's courage. I think Finland has shown a lot of courage and determination, even more than the entire Europe and even the US, guys, because I think they have more balls. Look at what they've done, guys. This is indeed beautiful.
As can be expected from a nation of only a little over 1 million inhabitants, Estonia doesn't have the same military and naval capabilities as their neighbor across the Gulf of Finland. But the few naval vessels they currently have could serve the same purpose as the patrol ship that intercepted the Russian tanker on Christmas Day. The Estonian Navy consists of 1 mine layer and 3 mine hunters of Danish and British origin respectively, as well as several smaller patrol boats. Sweden, having experienced similar sabotage to one of its fiber optic cables earlier in 2024, and still angered by the infamous Nord Stream pipeline sabotage, is now a more than likely member of a new task force. This task force will likely be designated to patrol the maritime areas between the Baltic states and the Nordic countries. At the forefront of Sweden's contributions are the Gotland-class submarines, Visby-class corvettes, and swift patrol craft. Sweden's highly capable and virtually silent submarines will likely play a crucial role in monitoring maritime activities close to critical infrastructure, enabling them to detect anomalies while remaining largely undetected themselves. Following detection, Sweden can deploy its naval special forces, launched from CB-90 fast assault craft and supported by helicopters, to address and neutralize threats, much like Finland's decisive action on December 25th. Swedish naval special operations teams, renowned as some of the best in the world, will need to adopt a more proactive and assertive approach in safeguarding these vital underwater assets, similar to their Finnish counterparts. This enhanced aggression will be vital in deterring further acts of sabotage and maintaining security in the region. Sweden's CB-90 fleet is the perfect counter to Russia's shadow tanker fleet, as Sweden has a staggering 160 plus of these fast attack craft. They're able to patrol very effectively, and naval personnel from many neighboring nations, such as Norway, Germany, Finland, and the Netherlands, are trained on them. Poland, being the immediate neighbor to the Baltic states, will likely also be keen to make a mark here. In any discussion regarding Russia, it is always Poland who is pushing for a more proactive response. While the Polish Navy is not as advanced as Sweden's, it still has some of the most frightening special operators on the planet and plenty of helicopters and fast attack craft to board and seize any ship in the Russian shadow tanker fleet. I expect that Poland will send both ships and other assets to the area, and in particular in the areas around their very important Sweephole cable. The Polish energy grid is very dependent on Swedish stable hydropower, and this cable is one of the real drivers of the booming Polish industry. Germany, coming into the new year with elections coming up, has a chance to show their northern and Baltic allies that they care about their mismanaged politics of the last 20 years with the dependence on Russian gas, and can bring to bear their quite substantial navy, especially their air-independent submarine force, can assist their more eastern neighbors to a great degree. The question is, will they? During the transition period between elections, I'm not so sure. Maybe Olaf Scholz will find his courage now that it doesn't matter anymore. A strong German response here would be a good thing for Germany, especially considering Sweden, Poland, Denmark and Norway's massive part in supplying power to Germany's failed energy projects at the cost of the prices to their neighbors' own populations. Personally, it would take a lot of goodwill from the German politicians before I'm convinced. But if they were to suddenly find their courage, they, together with Sweden, possesses enough of a navy alone to completely shut down the Baltic for Russia's sabotage missions. They are also by far the country in Northern Europe who would suffer the most if more power cables were breached, as they import by far the most.
Well, for me, I think insecure ships shouldn't be found in the Baltic Sea. This is unsafe. I don't know. I don't know. They should find a way around them. They should keep it off. Keep them off the sea. Keep them off the Baltic Sea.
Electricity in the region. So in my humble opinion, it would be natural if Germany stepped up to the plate to defend their supply. My own country, Denmark, needs to start guarding the entries to the Baltic in a much more alert manner. First of all, as Russia's tanker fleet is generally sailing under flags that aren't Russian, the Danish and Swedish Coast Guard can be a lot more proactive in controlling the state and insurance of the ships coming through the relatively tiny strait between Denmark and Sweden. There are many international maritime laws which Denmark and Sweden can use to stop these vessels. Firstly, as seen with the Russian oil tankers sinking in the Black Sea, Russia's ships are generally not maintained enough in order to be seaworthy. This is enough of a breach for Denmark to confiscate the boat, and if sanctioned breaching equipment or cargo like oil is found on board, this can also be confiscated. A Russian tanker sinking in the Baltic or Kattegat would be a biological catastrophe, which is more than enough legal grounds to start controlling Russia's shadow fleet. Moreover, Denmark, as well as Sweden and Norway, are some of the nations in the world with the most experience in dealing with pirates, as they had extensive presence outside Somalia for over 5 years during the Somalian anti-piracy mission. Their crews are well trained in boarding, seizing, and stopping illegal action. Norway's issues are an entirely different beast. Norway is the country in Europe with by far the most undersea pipelines and cables stemming from both their enormous oil and gas fields, but also their export of hydropower to the UK, Netherlands, Denmark, and Germany. Norway's ace in the hole is their Marjata listening ships. Though these are great, they can't cover Norway's entire coastline. Norway will need to ask the countries profiting from their energy exchange for help. The British Royal Navy has already heightened their activity in the areas of Norway's west coast, and the Dutch would likely assist too. The issue for Norway seems to be a bit similar to Germany's. Things take time in Norway, and concrete action seems to be very slow from the country's very unpopular Prime Minister and government. Kongsberg's long-distance submarine drones can likely solve some of these issues, but the North Sea is vast and much harder to control than the Baltic Sea. In response to the sabotage of its critical undersea cables, NATO as a unit is poised to adopt a robust and forceful stance, likely mirroring the operational dynamics seen in exercises like Baltops. This annual exercise in the Baltic Sea showcases NATO's capacity to deploy a formidable array of maritime and air assets, including submarines, destroyers, and fighter jets, in a show of force and unity among member states. NATO's approach to the cable sabotage will similarly emphasize a strong, visible military posture, underscoring the alliance's readiness to protect its infrastructure and deter further aggressive actions. Given Russia's historical respect for strength and force, NATO's strategy will likely focus on demonstrating its capability and willingness to use military power to secure its communications and energy networks. This would involve enhanced surveillance, increased patrolling of critical sea lanes, and perhaps the establishment of more stringent maritime exclusion zones around key infrastructure. By showcasing its military readiness and cohesion, NATO aims to communicate unequivocally that it will not tolerate infringements on its critical assets and is prepared to take decisive actions to prevent any future sabotage attempts. One thing is certain, this sort of sabotage is likely to be attempted again and again, but it seems that Finland was the one country that finally had enough. They've set out a template for how to deal with both the Russian shadow fleet and how to seize its content. I'm not a politician, but if that ship was sitting in my harbor, I'd sell the oil on the open market and use the funds to fix all the damage this ship has caused. And I'd repeat the process over and over again until Russia finally learns that this isn't a good idea. It's getting close to my travel date to Estonia, and this sure gives an added layer to how me and my colleagues' time over there will be. We'll, without a doubt, start training on boarding actions fairly soon after arrival. And personally, I can't wait. Happy New Year, folks.
Finland has indeed had enough, and I love their response to this. Okay, Finland is courageous, Finland is determined, and I love that for them. Please share your comments, share your thoughts about this, about what happened in the comment section. I really would love to read from you. Okay, thank you guys for watching, and thank you for recommending this. See you guys in the next one. Bye.